purely not a business. It's a charity organization, internal controls and risk management system, and that could be how you can focus on your professional skills mark. So formally welcome to all of you for attending this SBL Pre Seen session. You see, the basic idea behind the Pre Seen is to make the students aware of what to expect, or at least have a broader framework of the organization that they are going to assess in the examination. One key point that you need to remember, and I'm sure that during your preparation of the subject, you would have learned this thing, but yet it is very important to reiterate some points at this stage. Number one of which is that you do not need to memorize the pre-seen, just like you do not need to memorize the syllabus content. The basic idea in the syllabus content is that you can apply the knowledge of the theory onto the case studies or the questions or the scenarios given in the paper. Similarly, this pre-seen in no way does it want to memorize the idea, and importantly you do not need to memorize it because of the fact that these will already be available to you on the exam panel. This, if you like, it is better that you have known, you know the content, where it is and where is it not, so that when you have to go back to the pre-seen information, you clearly know where it lies. For example, on which page? For example, by the way, I would recommend that you keep your pre-seen document open in front of you, because when I will be telling, I have prepared a presentation for it. I have not done it like that, just open the PDF and discuss with you. I have opened uh, I prepared a presentation for you for a detailed analysis, because when we are marking on the PDF file, usually something keeps on missing out. So I have prepared the presentation, and in the end, I will share the presentation with you as well. Now, so you need to remember, what you need to remember is, whenever I'm explaining these things to you, you can jot down your pointers on the PDF file that you have. If you have a printout, excellent. If not, then you can open up in the in your PDF file. You can write it down over there digitally, or if you do not have a digital pen or something like that, I would suggest that you keep a pen and paper with you and mark the page number and then write the bullet points with you. But still, even if you do not do any of these and you just follow the presentation, in the end, I will share the presentation with you, and you can refer to it back whenever you are studying your pre-seen. But another important tip that I would like to give you is that do not, uh, first of all, you do not need to remember all of the data. You just need to remember the key points. You do not need to rote learn the data, but you need to remember, read the pre-seen a couple of times, just with an idea that, you see, analysis I will give you, but just with an idea that on the exam day, when you need to refer to the pre-seen for some matter, you know exactly and on which page can you expect that information to be, so that you do not have to go through all those 9, 10, 11 pages all the time searching for the idea. So that is the basic idea behind this. So let's start with the pre-seen analysis for this session. An interesting thing you would notice, if you have followed and prepared the mocks for the from the previous papers, you would have noticed that in the previous paper, usually that would be a business organization. This is the first time that after they have released, they have started the pre-seen practice. This is the first time that they have gone into a not-for-profit organization, and that is the charity session, the charity organization by the name Historic Places. So Usually, when they give a pre-seen, they give you an industry analysis and the business analysis, or the industry background and the business background. But in this case, because it's not a business, therefore we are going to call it a sector. So that will be a charity sector, and in charity sector, where there we will have a subsector by the name heritage sector, and we will talk about it in detail. So the reason or the objectives of our today's session is: number one, you will get a detailed assessment of the historic places, the organization in question, and its environment. Again, we don't say business environment in the pure sense of the profits, but still there are expenses and income. So in that sense, we are saying that business, it's purely not a business. It's a charity organization focusing on governance, financial performance. There are different significant strategic challenges that we are going to dig into. We will also be discussing some suggestions on the basic business model, and topic wise, I will give you some suggestions on which areas to focus upon. Remember, the idea of giving you suggestions is not that you give least important, or you do not give importance to other sections of the syllabus. The idea is that you give more attention to these points. So you see, you should have prepared the whole syllabus, because it is based on our experience and our expertise that we can suggest all the teachers. I'm not just talking about myself. All the teachers that prepare these analyses, we have not prepared the paper itself. And for that matter, actually, if we had prepared the paper, we would not. We will be ethically bound not to give you the idea of what is going to be tested in the paper. But based on our experiences and our teaching, we know that these are the possible areas that the examiner is going to test, so that there is a link between the pre-seen and the paper itself. But it does in no way mean that you should disregard all the other sections and just focus on these. So please keep that in mind. And we will get into key risks and opportunities, and to enable a better understanding of what to expect in the exam. So the ultimate objective of the session will be: you will gain an in-depth understanding of the pre-seen material, equipping you with the skills needed to tackle exam questions effectively and provide well-reasoned recommendation. One more thing here at this point, we at Hamza Academy have already prepared a brief presentation on the time management in the exam techniques. Uh, and that will come in very handy when you are attempting the paper. I urge you that you go to the Facebook page of Hamza Academy, and you will find that link over there. I'll try to find the link and paste it over here for your reference. That is a very brief, about 15-20 minutes presentation, and that will give you an idea how to allocate your time properly, so that you can take maximum out of your time of 3 hours and 15 minutes during the paper. Okay, so let's get started with this. The first area that we are going to discuss is the sector background or sector information. Basically, the main is the charitable sector. There is a main sector and the subsector. The charitable sector, obviously, these are all the charities within the economy, and these fall in the private sector. Charities support public welfare through various causes. For example, poverty relief, education, medicine, history preservation. So our basic focus in this will be the history preservation. They generate income via donations that we already are aware of, and the membership fee within this system, within this economy, and the country they are focusing on is Rhodesia, and they generate income via donations, membership fee, and commercial activities, and some fundraising activities as well. These are regulated. This is important now. Regulated by the Charity Supervisor Board, CSB. Just like we see in the company's model, it is regulated by, usually when we are talking about the UK, it is under the Companies Act 2016, under the registrar. Excuse me. So this is the regulatory body, Charity Supervision Board, CSB, to ensure ethical operations and financial transparency. So it is basically about the ethics and transparency. Large charities over 10 million of income must report. Keyword here is must report internal controls and risk management system. Usually we see that internal controls are not a requirement, legal requirement in the UK, even though it is said that you should check the importance every year whether you should have or not. But here you see the important point is that it must report the internal controls and risk management system, and that could be one important key area to be tested during the examination. Now, when we are talking about the subsectors in the economy, and we are going to, uh, excuse me, when we are discussing the subsectors of the economy, that is the heritage subsector in which our organization, historic places, that lies on. This area, out of the all the charity organizations, this focuses on preserving culturally and historically significant sites. And there are two large charities within this, that is our key area of historic places, and this is the, you can say, sort of a competitor, not a full competitor, I'll explain in a while. And historic places that protect sites over 300 years old, and Living the Past, LCP, is an organization that focuses on the sites that are less than 300 years old. And this point is of an important significance. Why is that? I will just tell you, and later on you will know why. You see, uh, the old an item is and you want to preserve it, the more you have to put in efforts, the more you have to put in time, the more you have to put in the income expenses on the preservation of that item. Because you see, for example, if you buy a new laptop, usually it's on its own. You do not need to perform any maintenance, no cleaning, no nothing. But as the time goes on, you have to be very careful with it. You have to clean it. You have to run the virus checks and all these types of things. So similarly, the historic sites, for example, a building which has a cultural importance and you want to preserve it. Obviously, with the passage of time, the wear and tear occurs, the environmental effects are on that. If there is some kind of a calamity, such as an earthquake or a flood, etc., these get affected, and you have to put in some effort, time, and money. So the resources in general to keep it at the original or maximum to the original position that it was actually in. And this is the key point here. That's why I said it's not a true competitor in the sense, because both of them are not focusing on the same type of cultural sites. HP is focusing on the sites which are over 300-year old, means they will have to put in a lot more effort, resources, in order to preserve these buildings and these sites, whereas LTP is focusing on less than 300. So there could be 50 years old, there could be 100 years old. So they do not have to put in as much resources as historic places have to. So that is the first cultural point that you need to, analysis point that you need to remember when we are going to compare these two organizations. Moving on. There are different activities included, which we are going to discuss further, and where our expenses will incur as well. That is site conservation. I talked about it in detail right now. Public engagement, education, and commercial operations. These are the areas that these charitable organizations, which are working in the heritage subsector, are focusing on. Then there are different challenges faced within this sector, and that is usually for everyone. Depends, for some it will be higher, for some it will be lower. Number one, there's just like and in link with the site deterioration, it is with the site conservation. The age of the sites, the climatic changes, pollution, visitor impact. Again, a very important key area here. When we are increasing our public engagement, more and more visitors are coming. We will be incurring some income as well on the tickets, etc. But at the same time, the more the visitor come, the more the site will be deteriorated. So it is directly in relation with that. It is a very important point that you need to remember. Then economic downturn. We will see when you study the case in detail, you will see that there is an economic downturn. And what is the impact of the economic downturn? It is the reduced donations and site visits because it definitely affects the affordability of the people, of the public, which make the donations and the site visits. Because you see, visiting the cultural places is not a necessity. So you will see that, excuse me, that is not a necessity. So therefore, it directly affects the is affected by the economic downturn. Volunteer dependency. This is another important area, that because it is a charity, and just like many charities, it's not just the members or the employees that are working. Volunteers also help out. These are unpaid workers, and the problem is the irregular commitment. They are unpaid, that's a plus, but at the same time the irregular commitment is a negative. Now you need to remember, uh, with the same time, you would have to focus on your professional skills marks as well. And again, at this point, I will urge you that you go to our Facebook page, and I'm sure they would have uploaded it right now. They would have uploaded the key points that I have prepared based on the this particular pre-scene, and you will find there with examples how you can focus on your professional skills marks. And you know, these are 20 marks, and these are very, very important. And the thing is that these are embedded into the in the question itself. So you will have to focus on these much more than the actual. So what happens usually, the students are focusing more on what is the requirement of the question, for example, analysis, evaluation, and all. But you based on the financial data and everything, you're commenting on that, and you lose focus of these professional marks. So I've given tips over there along with the specific examples based on this pre-scene. So it will be very, very helpful for you. Do visit it. Okay. So, so volunteer dependency, I was talking about it in terms of skepticism. So you can see that on the face of it, it looks very nice that these are unpaid workforce, very happy, no expenditure causes. But the don't take it on the face of probe, question, and challenge. That is the idea behind the skepticism. Is that you have to see that though they are unpaid workers, but because they are not employees, they you cannot have a regular commitment from them. So it could pose as a challenge for you. Finally, the competition from other non-heritage charities, limited donors. You see, this subsector, we are in the main sector. For example, this is the charity sector, and we have suppose this much portion on the heritage, and we have donors from the society, and maybe some part of public funding as well. But these are other non-heritage charity as well, and this is up to people. For example, somebody would like to donate to the educational purposes, some to others. So therefore, that is a proper challenge, that even though within the subsector of heritage, we have only historic places and living the past, but the basic idea is the same: is culturally and historically significant sites are to be preserved. So the other non-heritage charities are also operating. They would have their own activities, and because of that, there is a competition for the donations in this subsector. Okay. Now, based on this discussion, suggested areas that you need to re-evaluate, refocus is the use of pastel analysis and the SWOT analysis to understand the strategic challenges. So this is the you have to review, and obviously, and very obviously, and I cannot reiterate it more, that obviously you do not need to tell the examiner what is pastel analysis. Just in the start, we have a background, and that background also tells that what is included and how are you going to apply that to this situation. So you have to revise the pastel analysis in connection with this particular scenario, and the SWOT analysis, which you can perform after we have discussed the uh, organizational analysis. There could be different recommendation strategies, and we will talk about these later on. Digital marketing. because in the end we will see that they are focusing on their advertisement and details through the website as well. So we can give the ideas on digital marketing and online education. That will be more focused in the IT department, IT section, and that is one important area that you need to focus again. Different the IT segment in your syllabus. What are the different options in the IT and the modern technologies that could help this HP in order to increase their funding and donation and overall come up with the strategies or solution for the challenges that are being posed in this pre-scene. Porter's five forces model can also come in handy when we are discussing about the competitive pressure. Obviously, you will have to tweak a little bit because usually we apply these Porter five forces model to the business organization where we have suppliers and we have customers and barriers to entry and all. But you will have to be a little bit, what must I say? Improvise a little bit on how to apply the same model on this sector. Now, the main stakeholders, and this stakeholders can be discussed with regard to the main sector as well as with regard to the organization itself. So here the trustees, they oversee the charity. Okay. The trustees oversee the charities. They ensure it follows the rules, managing of risk, setting of strategies. So their basic task is overseeing because it's not a company structure. So we cannot say that these would be NEDs. So, but you can get an idea that more or less they will be the same. But there are a few differences as well. They are unpaid and accountable to supporters, regulators, and the public. So the unpaid part is different from the NEDs because we see NEDs do take their fee, but here the rest of that is the same. They are accountable not to the company itself, but rather to the supporters. In that case, in NEDs we say shareholders. Here they are supporters, regulators, and the public. When we are talking about the executive management, these are the paid employees. They are responsible for daily operations, working as a board or a committee. Other employees are there, including staff at head office and site work full time or part time. So usually we'll see that the employees that are full time usually work at the head office, and those are this portion full time or part time that can also be an important factor when we are talking about challenges. Then volunteers we discussed, these are unpaid workers who help at sites in their free time without contractual obligations. Again, this is the important bit because it goes to the no commitment portion. Then donors, a very important portion, and donors and members there because these will be constituting the major portion of our income. They give money without expecting anything in return. So no dividends, obviously, because this is the HP is going to be a charity, and we will see that it is registered as an a company limited by guarantee. So the whatever income is generated is reinvested into the charity to achieve the causes of the charity, either as one time or regular contribution. So we have one time or regular contributories. So regular contribution obviously are very important for us because they help plan us our budgets. Members, they pay an annual or lifetime fee for benefits like free sites. So these are not totally free providers. Donors, this is the basic difference between these two. Donors are not expecting anything in return, but they are not regular. They could be one time or not or regular. But the members, they pay an annual, so that would be regular, and lifetime would be a benefit, but it can be a problem as well because once you agree to the payment of lifetime, later on if the expenses are increased, then it could be an issue because benefits that you have enjoyed from that income that could have ended, but you still have to provide these services. So they, what do they get? They get free site access. They don't have to buy the tickets. And then important thing, they have to voting rights at the AGMs, because remember, this is going to be a company, still a company, even though it is limited by guarantee and this does not have shares. They elect the trustees. They do not own the charity. That is the basic idea. Just like shareholders, they don't own the charity or bear its debts. Uh, Here is an important part, because this will go to the guarantors. If you can recall the concept of company limited by guarantee from your earlier skill section from the F4 or law paper. Then we have non-member visitors. They pay a fee to visit the charity site. So sort of a ticket or a fee. Then there are guarantors. Here we are discussing that guarantors agree to cover some charity debts if it goes bankrupt, and but do not take part in the daily activities. That is the idea. Daily activities are done by the executive management. These guarantors have provided a guarantee. Some charity means up to the guaranteed amount. Okay. Then we have CSB, just like we studied. It is a government body that monitors charities and ensures compliance. Media, it is also a very important stakeholder. They can promote the charity's good work or create a bad publicity. Both of them. They can promote and create a bad publicity. So this is an important point from the evaluation or at least analysis portion. Here in this, and we will come to it later on as well, you have to revisit the stakeholder theory and stakeholder management, for example, Mendelow's matrix and all. And a question could be expected from this area. Now, the KPIs for the industry, and we know KPIs are the key performance indicators based on which we check on the performance of the organization. Obviously, financial and non-financial, these are the two areas that we focus on: financial indicators of our income and expenditure, and then operating margin and surplus of income over expenditure. And for HP, we will consider it in detail. You have to go through these yourself, and in later part of the presentation, I will explain these to you. Then we have non-financial indicators or commitments: number of members, number of donors, volunteers, and visitors to site. One way or other, they do focus on, they do are linked with the financial indicators, but still we have to check this out. Education and development, number of educational visits to the sites, training days for staff and volunteers, trainees employed, conservation and preservation are spent on conservation, that go links up directly with the these two link up with our operating costs. Objects worked on, maintenance projects completed, and that will lead to income through visits. So once the site is completed, it will be visited or it may be visited, leading to our income. Satisfaction of the visitors for repeat customers, and that leading to the income. Feedback from employees and volunteers, percentage of annual members renewing, how and goes to how much satisfaction, and again leading to income. Then environment, resource consumption, percentage of energy obtained from renewable sources, wasting of electricity. All of these you could expect in the overall case study. Okay. Now, after the having an idea about the overall structure of the sector, now we are coming to the specific organization, which is the uh, historic places. Okay. Now, with the headquarters located in Odisha's capital city, Historic Places is a heritage charity in Odisha committed to safeguarding and maintaining historical sites over 300 years old. This is our basic focus. The organization works to protect, restore, and make the culturally and historically significant landmarks accessible to public, because that is our source of income. Now, what is their business model? Let's quickly dig into that. Registered as a company limited by guarantee. A very, very important point. Does not distribute profits but reinvests all of its income to support its mission. Its revenue model minimizes dependency on any single income. That is another important point. They are not focusing on just donors or just members. They have different baskets from where they can get their income, and that actually reduces their dependency on either and thus reduces the risks involved. But at the same time, they have to focus on different areas and keep different stakeholders happy, so to speak, so that the income keeps on coming. However, economic factors, again, very, very important because it hit the overall economy, it hits the charity sector and this organization as well, such as ADACA's recession. So there's another important point because the ADACA is in recession, these factors will impact the our strategies, may impact discretionary spending on donors and websites. So these are the areas in which these focus as well: site preservation, public engagement, cultural education, and commercial activities. Let's quickly go through these. Site preservation, as we discussed earlier, these are restoring and maintaining castles, museums, and other historic sites. Public engagement, what do? Is they organize guided tours, educational visits, and interactive experiences. And later on, we will focus on how that can be done through the IT technology as well. Then cultural education, facilitating school trips, a very important portion, and training conservation and collaborating with the universities. Commercial activities, running different shops, catering services, and event venues to generate revenue. So these are the ideas. You see, when we say that they minimize dependency on single income, this is the areas. But again, not all goody good. You can say that, okay, fine, we are different sources of income, but at the same time, you have to focus on many different areas as well. That will divide your attention as a strategic manager. Okay. Then the governance structure, it is a two-tier board governance system. The board of trustees, which oversee the strategy, compliance, and the governance, and they are unpaid and they are answerable to the society in general. Then the executive board, they manage daily operations, CEO, directors of finance, marketing, HR operations. These are so the structure is given over here. The executive board structure is given to you in the um, pre-seen. Trustees include nominated and member elected individuals serving 3 terms. Again, just like a NAD structure, code of conduct covers professional behavior, ethics, and conflicts of interest policies. So again, here you have to revisit those areas. Governance structure and recommendation for recommend improvement. This is the possible scenario that you can, or possible question that you can expect from this. So you have to revisit the governance chapter. Then ethical issues and their recommendation. What are the possible ethical issues they face, and how to focus on these? For example, what can be the ethical issues? Conflict of interest among the trustees. Here, the board of trustees and the board of directors, and importantly, because this is a charity, this could be a very, very important portion. When we are a charity, the misuse of funds is possible because you see there is no indicator of the profits to for the stakeholders to measure. But at the same time, when the stakeholders, for example the donors, the members, when they are investing, so you see the members, when they are investing, they are getting at least something in return. So even if they are not very much focused on the how the funds are allocated, we can see that it could be ignored in a sense. But the other members, donors, for example, they are not expecting anything in return. Now, neither they are getting anything in return. So, in that case, you should see that they must have an inclination of knowing what is going on in the organization. How is our money spent in the organization? Whether it is achieving the its objectives or not. Okay. So keep that in mind that the misuse of fund, that could be a very important ethical issue, and that is linked up with the internal controls of the organization. So this is how you make linkages. Okay. The overall key stakeholder analysis for the organization, the different stakeholders, for example, the members, about 5 million members with annual membership only, no lifetime option. The benefits that these get, you have to recheck this a little bit. Okay, benefits: free site access, newsletter, in email updates. They get annual general meeting. They vote for trustees and improve the or approve auditors. They review financial reports, submit non-binding resolutions for trustees to consider. Okay, non-binding. So you have to understand that these are not the owners of the organization, hence they cannot bind. But the overall trustees, they guide the. So it's sort of a collaboration between them. Employees, about 4,000 full-time employee and part-time employees, including those in HP's commercial subsidiary, work at the head office and various sites. Some staff have long-term service with HP, and that goes to our KPI, and that shows the employee and loyalty and satisfaction. And these employees are with the with the HP because they believe in the mission of HP. Salaries are average for the charity sector but lower than the commercial organization, and that could pose a threat to the satisfaction. Um, and some staff, that is the key point here. Not most staff have long-term service. Some staff. So this could be a an idea which you could focus on, and you could be asked about how to improve this situation. Many employees accept lower pay due to their commitment, and those who are long-term relation and are continuing to work here, they are accepting because they are committed to HP's mission. So this is the idea behind their long-term service with them. Volunteers, about 20,000, a good number, but I told you the issue. Support HP's operations, acting as guides for the visitor. That is the basic role that they perform here. Working in catering facilities and shops, assisting with the site maintenance. Okay. Now the problem here is that because these are volunteers and there is no commitment, so uh, you cannot count on these for a long-term commitment and long-term uh, journey with you, if you may. Now, what does it mean? That when you have employees, you have at least some kind of a guarantee, even though that is not a full guarantee, but those are your employees, they're committed and they're bound with you under contractual obligations. And if you train them, you invest some money on them, you do the training and everything, and you expect that to be returned. So, in one way, training is an expense, but if you look it around, it is sort of an investment into increasing their human capital. But the problem with the volunteers is that you cannot do that. The why? If though HP does that, but the problem that we are focusing on, because they are not committed, so this may be a problem. And later on, we will see that their operating income has been increasing over the years, and this could be an important reason because they spend on the training of the volunteers, and the volunteers are not committed with them, they may leave. So that investment is gone in vain. That is the idea that you need to remember. It may look like volunteers are all good because they are unpaid, but there are other costs involved with that. Suppliers and contractors, suppliers and inventory policies for catering in shops are managed centrally by HP's procurement team. External contractors handle regular site maintenance and major projects. Again, stakeholder theory is going to be very important here. Large one-time projects are assigned to contractors on a one-off basis. So they have external contracts on regular basis, and some are which are for the maintenance of the major projects. And for smaller projects or one-time projects, they are assigned to contractors on one-off basis. Again, a very, very important area in the risk assessment are the possible key areas and the explanation of that: reputation risk, financial risk, operation risk, health and safety, and cyber security. A key important point here. The reputation risk is negative publicity could reduce the donation and membership, and media as a stakeholder comes in very important here in this portion. Financial risk, falling income may impact the conservation efforts. So, and that would lead to less visitor and less income and bad reputation as well. Falling income leads to donors and members as well as the other stakeholders. Operational risk, employee or volunteer shortages could limit the site operation. And these both could be linked up with the pest analysis, especially the economic one, downturn. Safety and hazard, site hazard, a very, very important area which we usually do not focus on when we are talking about the business organization. But because this is the areas, the sites that are above 300 years old, 300 plus years old. So there is a possibility that any unexpected accident, event or accident can incur. For example, a wall which is not properly managed, or it may fall, and so God forbid, if there are some visitors there, they may get injured, and that will link up to the very negative publicity. And also you have some additional health and safety risk involved as compared to the business organization. Then the cybersecurity risk, later on we'll study how they use their website. So there are potential data breaches affecting the members and the donors. So all the data that you have in there, that will be that could be at risk. Okay. Okay. So here in this, excuse me. Okay. The application of risk management methods, for example, Chara model, you have to revisit it again. A recommendation for internal goals to mitigate financial and operational risks. So you have to focus on that as well. And then an evaluation of HP's business continuing planning and crisis management, that would also be of importance for you to revisit. And these may be tested in the on the exam day. Coming to the financing, the membership fee is about 42%. This is the most consistent one because we saw that majority are the annual payers. Donations are about 16%, and these will be changed based on the people interests and again the economic situation of the economy. What do there are certain areas that we can focus on. For example, members pay annual fee like benefits, and member fees ensure stable and recurring income stream that helps us in budgeting. And donation from individual, corporate sponsors, and philanthropic organizations, other charity organizations, fundraising campaigns, legacy gifts, online donations are key revenue drivers here. So all these donations are also not focused in one area. These are the sub areas from which we are getting the donation. Okay. Then the admissions fee linked to the visitors or the site fee. Non-members pay a one-time visit fee vary depending on the site and popularity and facilities. So the more you focus on developing your website, incur more income, the more visitors are possible to come. And commercial activities, for example, about shops are 15%, catering is about 13%. What do the shops do? Selling guidebooks, souvenirs, and historical memorabilia. For example, different models of the old website or the sites of the castle and things like that. Catering operating cafes and restaurant at major sites. Event hosting, renting out facilities for weddings, corporate events, and private function. And this is a very important point, which usually we do not focus on. We take these historic sites as a museum, but this is a very important area that they are focusing on, an unusual area that some they have identified a niche of the people who want to get away from the hustle and bustle of the cities and all the traffic and the rush and a very busy kind of a wedding or a corporate event. And these cultural sites, sorry, heritage sites, they bring a feeling of nostalgia and calmness into the minds of the people. So this is a good idea, and rather a great idea to hold weddings or other functions in those area, and they are focusing uh, on the that type of stakeholders which like these kind of weddings or these kind of events in such calm places. Then a part of it could be from, even though up till here we have 100%, but we will look into it that there are possible grants from the government bodies to support it. So that could be included in the donation. Conservation projects to help finance large scale restoration and maintenance efforts. That is, the government grants could come in, but that will be linked in the donation section. Now, here you could have a possible question of assess HP's financial stability and recommend strategies to diversify the income further. Evaluate the effectiveness of HP's performance management system. For example, you could link up it to the BAL scorecard and conduct a financial performance analysis using the trends data. And you will have at, I believe, in the next year at the end of the page 10 of your pre-seen, you have all the graphs which you can study, and the explanation I have given over here, but it is better that you focus on those as well. Then this page will tell you about the future strategies that you make use of when you are discussing the different portion in the paper on the exam day. For example, revenue growth. The trend is stable but impacted by economic conditions. So you will see that there will be a downturn in the income stream. What you could do, you will have to have some strategies or recommendations for strengthening fundraising and commercial strategies. You should come up with those. For example, involving more and more schools. And for example, I'll just give you an idea for that. What you could do is you could have launched a program, because you see already you manage sites for visits for universities. So university students, especially those who are specializing in the relevant subject area, you could take them as volunteers. And we know that the problem with the volunteers is that they do not show you commitment. So that is the key problem or the weakness we have identified. Now, how to overcome this weakness? For example, you can get an authorization from the government that you can offer them certificates of this for their service of or sort of a free internship. Uh, for example, if they continue with you for 1 year or 2 years or something like that. For example, those students who get admission in the university in this heritage or something similar subjects, you collaborate with the university after the approval from the government. You collaborate with the university and you launch a program, an internship program, that we will take in these many number of students from each university, and they will continue with us for the duration of their degree, which is usually 2 years or 4 years. I'm not sure what will be in your country, but we do not need to mention the years because this is a fictitious organization and a fictitious country. So for the duration of the degree, and organization will provide them with a certificate and some good publicity as well, which will help them in their future career prospects. And in addition to that, we can also offer them a employment in our organization in HP. So you see, this is the future. So what you would do is you have the impact. So revenue growth will be included in, it can be linked up with that. So for those 2 years, and this will be a cyclical, it can keep on going, you will have volunteers, you will not have to pay them, salaries saved, and for future, you will have trained employees, that potential trained employees that can join your organization, and they will provide better services than a non-experienced or an employee who are you taking fresh, and you have to train him. So this is the whole circle of life sort of a thing. Supporter and visitor engagement, member base is stable, but the engagement needs enhancement. So how can you do that? Improve digital outreach and on-site experiences. So a better performance by the volunteers at the sites and the members at the employees at the sites. So you can put in a little bit more effort on their training and human capital development through training. Commercial income, growing revenue from shops, catering, and events, but further investment in the commercial expansion is required, and that can also be linked through the digital advertisement and digital marketing. The operational costs increasing due to site maintenance and staffing. You will also see that the trend of the operating cost will be increasing over the years. That is in the last section of the pre-scene. What you could do is suggest improve cost management uh, strategies. Then donations and grants, these are unstable, dependent on external factors such as economic factors. And what you could do is strengthen the donor engagement and diversify funding. So what you could do is you identify key donors, arrange a mega event at one of the donor sites, at the HP sites, and invite these donors to chair the or as a chief guest, or so that they feel honored even though they do not expect anything in return. But this is a you see sort of a thing with the donors. Some donors, they want to keep hidden, they do not want to explain, they do not want to tell who they are, so they are hidden, but the others would like a good publicity, so you can invite them. Okay. The possible questions I'll suggest and then. Operational activities that are the site management, visitor membership, commercial operations, fundraising, and volunteer coordination. So what you could do, maintenance of 350 plus historical sites is there to prevent deterioration, and all of these 350 sites are above 300 years old. Do not confuse with these two numbers. They are the areas, I keep on repeating websites, the sites, the cultural sites that HP is maintaining is above the age is above 300 years, and there are above 350 sites, such sites that this organization is managing over in the Rhodesia to prevent deterioration. And obviously use of external contractors is major restoration project, so your dependency comes in here, and your costs and resources come in here. Then management of on-site ticketing, membership, guide tours, coordination of special exhibitions, educational workshops and events. These are the services you are providing. Commercial operations, we have discussed about these in detail. Fundraising and donor running marketing campaigns. Another important thing to attract new members. Now, what is marketing campaign? Invite them to your, and how the marketing campaign can differ from that of a business organization. That could be a key area to be looked into. Partnering with corporations and cultural organizations for sponsorship events. So if you cannot lead alone, you can collaborate with the others. And this is a very important point in the business strategy. Just like I explained, collaborate with the different universities which can provide. You could collaborate with the schools as well, but the school students are not that uh, independent of their parents, so that they cannot make a commitment on your own, and they do not foresee in the future to that extent, because their career is so far away from them. So university students, they are more focused on that, so you can collaborate with the universities as well. Volunteer organization managing about 220,000 workers who assist with the visitor services, conservation efforts and events, training and engagement initiative to improve the volunteer retention, and the idea that I gave you can also come in handy. Okay. You could be asked to assess HP's financial sustainability and recommend strategies to diversify income, evaluate effectiveness of HP's performance measurement system, and conduct a financial performance analysis using the trends data, similar to the previous one. Finally, coming to the IT system key points, what kind of IT system they have? They meet administrative needs and comply with the data protection regulations, but you have to keep ahead of the situation. If there are any problems, you have to have updated firewalls and antivirus systems in place, and the backup systems in place. Computerize, you can take help of the cloud computing systems as well. Computerized systems support major operational functions. That is a good thing, but also poses threat of cybersecurity. And that can be linked up with the cloud computing, so that you do not have to face much of a hazard of problem of maintenance and security yourself. Website promotes its activities, facilities donation, and enables membership signups. has dedicated web page with history, maps, facilities, and news. So on the day, you may expect a outlook from the website, and you would have to provide better strategies. For example, improvement in the uh, user friendliness of the website. That can be an expectation. Finally, the website aspects that we have taken from that is that what they show, and these could be included in their mission statement and their overall strategy. And here again, you need to link it up with the given data. For example, inspire. We want to inspire everyone who visit us in an imaginative and authentic ways. We aim to stimulate our visitors' minds and provoke their emotions. How? And that could be linked up with the a question that how do you think they are doing that, or improve, how can they improve in order to achieve this objective. We want everyone to visit us to love. This everyone word is quite tricky here. Who visit us to love the time they spend with us. We engage our visitors by bringing in fascinating true stories from our story website. We use creativity and imagination to delight the internet. How are they achieving it, or if they are achieving it, that could be tested in the paper. And depending upon this, we can link it up with our KPI of the visitor satisfaction. We protect the sites and objects which urgently need care, looking after them for benefits of a present. Another important point that I forgot to mention. You see, when the sites are under maintenance, because there is a regular concept of maintenance on these cultural sites. The important point is that during that time period, the visitors are not allowed usually to the attend the site. And obviously, you when you stop the visitors to come in, you will not have the opportunity of getting the income. So you have to keep that in mind. Then, okay, assess to access to our country's history enriches everyone's lives. They are actually attracting the customers with mentioning that we millions share our belief that history is important for everyone. We want to provide opportunities for them to engage with us. We rely on generous support. This is going towards the donations and memberships and sustain. We protect the future of our sites by being part of the worldwide fight against the climate change. We limit our impact. So this is going to the environmental protection, and you can expect some areas from the sustainability and strategies for to show yourself as a green organization. Here you can recommend different digital transformation strategies for XP. As I explained, that you may expect a picture of the website, and you may be asked to recommend some improvement for user friendliness and all. Evaluate the role of technology in the enhancing visitor experiences. How can you do that? For example, the modern technology of holographic images and uh, on the site, touch experiences and holograms and 3D imaging uh, of the cultural sites that can also come in handy. And identify cybersecurity threats that propose security improvement. So these are the areas that you can expect from the overall organization. Okay. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions, you may ask, or I will share the. In the meanwhile, I will share this presentation document with you in the PDF file. You have all the links. Please let me know in the chat section, and you may save these and go to these. And I hope this session was helpful to you. And I wish all of you the best of luck in your paper. And when you are done with that, and I hope and from the core of my heart that you clear your paper this very attempt. And when you do that, I would appreciate if you could come back to our Facebook page and share your experiences with us. You see, as a teacher, I believe that we are also students. We are also learning. See, I have an experience of over 22 years in teaching and about 15 years in teaching in ACCA subjects, but I still learn. And one important part of the my learning experience is through the students themselves. So when you attempt the paper, you should come and tell us your experiences, how our guidance helped you, or it did not help you, maybe for that matter. So I would urge you to come back to our Facebook page and comment on what you learned from it and how did it help you. Thank you very much for your time. Take care. Goodbye and good luck.